In the late summer of 9 AD, Varus's legions are getting ready to return to their winter quarters on the Rhine. Arminius begins to play a dangerous double game. He's preparing a plan to attack Varus's legions on the march back to the Rhine, while carrying on with his duty as an officer in the auxiliary cavalry. Varus and Arminius are close, almost like father and son. Later, they will reproach Varus for having been too trusting. But to Varus, Arminius is a Roman. His loyalty cannot be questioned. Behind his back, Arminius is wooing the warriors of the Germanic tribes in the dark forests. As a priestess prays to the gods and confidently predicts a great victory, Arminius concentrates on the huge practical challenge of defeating the Romans. Even if the gods are on their side, the tribes will have no chance if they meet the Romans in open battle. When he fought beside them in Pannonia, he watched the legions advance with such force and with such discipline and order in every unit that the tribes would be defeated if they faced them directly. A tribal chieftain suggests attacking the Romans on the march, while their line stretches like a long thin worm across the plains. Arminius reminds them that Varus had 3 legions. That's nearly 20,000 men. The tribes had neither the men nor the weapons for such an attack. They'd be sure to fail, but the Romans are terrified of the Germanic forests. They hate the marshes and the narrow valleys. They must be invited to enter the forests. Sergestes takes a huge risk. He tries to warn Varus that a conspiracy and an uprising are planned against him and the Roman legions. Varus can't imagine who could be that foolhardy. Sergestes points to Arminius. On a September morning in the year 9 AD, Arminius leaves the camp with part of his auxiliary cavalry. Varus has dismissed Sergestes' warning and given Arminius free hand to act as he wishes. After this first warning, there was no time for a second, the Roman sources say. The senior Roman commanders aren't as confident as Varus. But they can't see what Arminius could do, even if he were disloyal. Everyone has the same thought, to cross the forest safely and get back to the warmth and comfort of the winter quarters along the Rhine. Arminius is committed. There's no way back. The clatter of arms and the marching feet of thousands of legionaries could be heard deep in the forest as the 17th, 18th and 19th legions march out of their summer camp. The mood is light-hearted. A few more days of hardship in the wilderness, and then the camps on the Rhine, with wine, women and song, games and baths. Maybe Varus already sees himself back in Rome, enjoying a wealthy and contented retirement. He's marching to his doom with all of his 22,000 soldiers and their support units. The giant column probably takes the usual route. south from the river Weser, around the foothills of the Teutoburg forest, to the river Lippe, across that, and onto the Rhine. That's how it should be. We still don't know how Arminius persuaded Varus and the legions to change their route. The Roman sources tell us simply, when Arminius and his auxiliaries were sent on ahead, they killed Roman troops stationed in their homeland. Arminius and his auxiliaries are still wearing Roman armor. The Roman soldiers see them as allies. In a surprise attack, they have no chance at all. Burn the towers. The auxiliaries torch the observation towers the Romans have erected at the edge of their marching routes. Arminius makes sure his attacks won't go unnoticed. At the end of their first day's march, the legions reach the foothills of the Teutoburg forest. The land is flat, the weather is dull but dry, and the troops are making good progress. And this is the moment Arminius burns the watchtower.
Halt!
How would Varus react? The Romans ask themselves what it can mean. Varus concludes that the rumors of an uprising were not groundless after all. Arminius must have come into conflict with rebels. Historians can't agree how many warriors Arminius was able to mobilize to fight Varus. It's hard to imagine the total came anywhere near the numbers of Varus's 3 legions. The Roman column has now become extremely stretched. Another advantage for the tribesmen. Their weapons are clearly inferior to the Romans. Axes, swords, wooden spears, and simple shields. Varus cannot guess that the very forces that are protecting his flank will be the first to attack his legions. The warriors storm down from their hiding places in the hills. They are absolutely silent. Only the distant thunder of their feet betrays their presence. At that moment, the auxiliaries change sides. The attack finds the Romans entirely unprepared. There's barely time to raise the alarm. The Germans fight more with their bodies than with their weapons, a Roman historian says. In the chaotic confusion of civilians and supply wagons, it's impossible to bring up reinforcements. The tribesmen and the auxiliaries attack from both sides, giving the Romans no chance to regroup. The most powerful army in the ancient world is defenseless. There are no armies marching in formation. This is just hit and run. The surprise has been total. Centurions have been cut down even before they can gather their troops into action. They couldn't fight back. But what do their enemies plan? Are they after booty, or is it a major attack? All they know is that the enemy are present in large numbers. And where is Arminius? Varus decides the only option is to press on. As soon as they find a suitable place in the forest, they will halt, gather the legions, and build an emergency camp. According to Tacitus, the Romans managed to advance through the forest. Then, all three legions worked together to build a temporary camp. No single legion had been destroyed. One battle had been lost. The war could still be won.